Atlantis. Part 6. Afterthought of the Gods. This audiobook is not for sale.
Thanks be to God, we have not heard from that Vicradian devil howling in the wilderness, who seeks my demise. I have not heard the howl now for many days. Perhaps my prayers for prophecy have driven it off.
Perhaps, if it indeed be a demon, Ethel.
As I said before, it is not a demon. It is a devil, a Vicradian devil. There is a difference. Demons are chaotic spirits, whereas devils pursue their victims on account of the breaking of law, and by lawful means of an inverse hierarchy. And what mean you, if indeed it be one? Has not the prophecies you have heard chastened you and roused your faith?
Faith is not something that we Eldark put much stock in. It is merely what the human mind relies on when reason and philosophic inquiry cannot suffice to answer. There is no reason for me to accept your prophecies as valid. Certainly you may accept and believe them as relevant to your experiences. They do not, however, represent the truth of things to me. So there is no need for further debate about their authenticity. Between you and I, there is a great chasm.
No need to treat on the authenticity of our prophecy? A great chasm? So the truth, or lack thereof, of my history of the future is of no account to you? It seems that you yourself are ripe now to become a disciple of the red ascetic, who is a pure materialist, believing in nothing else but matter. Spirit does not exist. And so did his patron saint Lucretius, who, no doubt, is burning in the region of punishing fire prepared for the pagans that were insincere, and who had no taste for truth, even though it were the hands of truth himself who fashioned their very being. By not receiving the truth, they now do receive a full measure of divine justice, which, my friend, is strict. You are on the way to joining them, especially because you treat my prophecies as mere entertainment, and refuse to let them edify and correct your arrogant mind.
I have appreciated the prophecies, Ethel. Yet I cannot take them in. Not really, for to do so I would need to admit the truth of the Ammouric way. This I cannot do. One cannot be an Eldark henotheist and Neoplatonic, and at the same time accept your vain superstitions, no matter how attractive they appear.
Attractive? Beautiful? If the world ever divorces truth from beauty, then it must sink into darkness absolute. The same is true for your own soul, Epenanios. Clearly I must pray and make sacrifices for you, all the more.
You have spoken much on my soul, and offered many corrections, Ethel. Little yet have we had discourse on your soul, on what has happened in your life. The last time I had seen you was some 10 years ago, when you accompanied me on the journey to Nystol, with those books and scrolls loaded onto the donkeys. And then came the centaur ambush, and all was lost. Certainly it was divine providence that those 2 donkeys took off, fleeing from the savage beast men. For they carried with them several of the black books of melancholy, including the 33rd volume, in which Anio's record of his hearing of Jathal, the Saga Sayer, was kept. The migration of the 5 tribes to the shores of the High Goan Sea is crucial for this son, who I am sure is hoping to prove his royal lineage by tracing it all the way back to Maceon.
So do the worldly use and abuse sacred writings, Epinanias, for their own purpose. Of course, also lost were the 27 books of your own histories, Epinanias. Extremely valuable. Will you rewrite them?
Perhaps, Hepha. However, I will need to use a pen name, now that my own name will be ruined by disrepute, as you say, in your histories.
So, you do believe the Ammouric histories of the future which I have uttered. I am not surprised. Only your own pride and trust in absolute reason causes you hesitation. Your mind rejects our faith, but your heart accepts it. Very well. I will not further harass your mind with these complexities.
Nor will I further resist your power of wisdom, Hepha. Wisdom from God. For now, however, I must maintain my argumentation of skepticism, and I do this for purposes that I cannot fully explain. But, Harky, now listen. The creature has returned. But why?
I dare say that it returns not to finish the task appointed. For I must pay for my sins, as I have told you. Since I no longer prophesy, it has once again been loosed. Quickly set the incense alight, so that we may have a spiritual fortress about us. I will go and pray.
There were many other things that Hepha related to me concerning his own life, as I had asked him to do so. Things such as his capture and the eventual escape from the centaurs of the Mahanaxaran plain, and his recovery of the 33rd volume of the Black Book of Melancholy, as well as his journey to Nystol when it was at its zenith, and then also his expulsion from there and his time with the sand pirates of the Dry Blood Dunes. And so, the travels of Hepha are considerable, and there is really not enough room for me to put them all here in this text, which concerns mostly the events that have to do with Regulum and the transformation of Bolgud and the recovery of the Republic. Therefore, I have prepared a separate volume in which you may read about Hepha's travels. Nevertheless, as we continued our conversation, there was suddenly a knock on the door. 6 knocks, to be precise.
Do not answer, Epinanias.
Hepha warned.
Who's to say if it is not an assassin, one who has at last tracked me down and has come to make quick work of both you and me with dagger or crossbow?
I do not scare so easily, Hepha.
Have you ever seen an Ataluran rim dagger, Epinanias? In obtaining the knowledge I have given you, we are the last vessels of hope for the old Republic.
Do others know what you know? I suspect, Hepha, that you know it to be no assassin, but the poor man we have neglected these past few days, and who has come, no doubt, near starvation. He howls like a beast to keep predators away from him, predators who detect that he is weak. Is this how you treat your slaves, Hepha? Did your years serving under me teach you so little of human decency and kindness? I will answer the door. I will defy your fear and superstition. You who accept hospitality from me must not encourage others to ignore the laws of hospitality, which all civil men accept.
Epenanias, I say to you, it is not a man. Do not open.
So I opened the door, and there, before me, stood a man, apparently, and one who did not look in any way hostile or wicked, but his face had a kind expression. He glanced at Heptha, and then back at me.
Has my master not seen fit yet to forgive my failures?
He asked in a soft, pleading voice.
I am in great need of food and shelter, friend. I have eaten all the local mushrooms and berries. Nothing is left. And your blanket will not shelter me from the coming storm. Please, have pity on me.
No, Epenanias, do not invite that pit-born devil in here, or give him anything. I forbid you to even speak with him further.
Heptha spoke sternly.
Do you not realize what that creature can do?
The ragged man looked at me with worried eyes.
My master punishes me, friend. He has lost his right mind. It has been this way for many moons now. He thinks that I am an assassin, waiting for the right moment, or that I am one who is somehow involved in a conspiracy with someone called the Red Ascetic. I do not even know who the Red Ascetic is. Do I look like a devil? I am just a simple man of Vermilion descent, a carpenter originally. Do you not hear him, good sage? He cannot even admit that I am just like both of you. He is clever in this, convincing even a sage to cooperate in such cruel enormities now for many nights. He is truly mad. However, I am loyal, even as a slave. I am loyal and attend to my master no matter what, for that is our way.
Lies he speaks, Epenanias. I say to you, this man is really a devil. He is sent from the very underworld city of Dis to harass me. He is a Vekradian devil, come to administer strict justice for my sins. God allows it. Do you not know that the devil can take on the likeness of men? What sort of man could just survive on his own for a week in that desert? Look at him. He's not starving. He is a wolf in sheep's clothing. Let him stay out there with the Phromexes.
Enough, I said. I've had enough of your bizarre Ammouric superstitions.
So you will let him in then, Epenanias? I say to you, if you do, you will soon be pleading for our Ammouric superstitions. But it will take a Selva, a priest, to exorcise this place, and they are hard to find. One must go all the way to Vesselum. Do not be a fool, Epenanias. Not only will you defile this hermitage and put your own soul in hazard, but the restoration of the old republic will get out of reach. You know it, and I know it. This creature has the power of mind search. He can obtain all that is kept in our minds, all information involving the counter-conspiracy, including high confidential things I have not yet revealed to you. But in order to do this, he must be invited in.
Do you really expect me, Heptha, a man of reason and superior education, to accept such hogwash? To believe your histories of the future, especially that Bolgut will somehow transform in his spirit to become a hero, to be virtuous, and to save the Republic? That is bizarre, Heptha. And now you expect me to believe that this man standing here is a devil. I can't. I can only believe so many things. My faith, if you want to call it that, can only be stretched so far.
Epenanias, why do you not believe? Do you not realize that God answered your prayer That Bolgood would become virtuous and see the light?
My prayer? What are you talking about?
I recall, as to all Regulians, Epinanias, the day that you stood and told off Bolgood, everyone remembered your speech. They remembered every word you said, and they recited for the enjoyment of listeners. Do you not remember your own prayer for Bolgood and your words? I know it. I memorized it myself. You looked at Bolgood and you said, I hope and pray that the true gods will draw you out of ignorance and bondage to pleasure, into the light of reality and wisdom of the Republican system. May they grace you to know the freedom of your own human life and the acknowledgement that your body is a sacred vessel not to be abused. I remember your very words, Epinanias. You prayed for Bolgood, and God has answered your prayers. Why do you not acknowledge this? And have faith.
I never thought of that. But still, I cannot accept the treatment of this stranger. This one standing before us is flesh and blood, a man in need of help. How can you be so cruel?
If you do not believe me, Epinanias, then ask him his name.
What is your name? I asked, turning to the ragged slave.
As long as I am treated as an outsider,
He said.
does it matter what is my name? I am nothing more than an animal to you. But you will always remember me.
He turned so as to walk away back into the cold night. Wait, I said.
Epinanias, let him go.
Heptha urged.
You have chosen well. Do not second guess. Devils will not give their names for fear that an exorcist use it to banish the thing back to the abyss.
What Heptha said made sense, but the feeling of pity was still with me. His use of the word abyss, however, caused me to pause. The whole concept of abyss, or void, is something that we Neoplatonics and Eldarks reject. To my knowledge, even the Ammouric theologians do not accept it. There is only the non-void. So this ignorant reference to something of completely outlandish cosmology suddenly irked me. I wanted to resist Heptha. Wait, poor man, I said before he stepped off the porch. Come, stay here for tonight. We have wine, warmth, and bread. It is okay. Come. He turned back and looked sharply at me. He immediately stepped across the threshold. After that, I remember very little. The entity morphed into its true form, a hideous devil with horns, entirely black. He grinned and spread his featherless bat wings, which shrouded all about him. With his claw hand, he smote me down. He approached Heptha and grabbed the man's head with his huge talons. Heptha started shaking as the devil drew from his brain all the information he was seeking. While the thing was concentrating on this theft, I took it as my chance to check him. I grasped my quarterstaff, a blessed instrument, and stepped toward the enemy to strike. Before I could even make a swing, the creature's black tail, long, twisting, and rope-like, having little spikes, wrapped around my neck as if it had a life of its own. The coils squeezed so they could not take in air. I dropped the quarterstaff and tried to tear it off me, but to no avail. The thing was too strong. Shortly, I passed out. The last thing I saw was the creature reveling, his bright white fangs grinning. His sinister white eyes rolled back in glee as it sucked up information from Hepzibah, laughing. The next morning, Hepta awoke me.
Do you realize what you have done?
I said nothing, but only looked down.
The Alliance of Free Peoples is completely compromised now, Epinanias. It shall not recover for decades, or for even perhaps centuries. The mad and scared dogs, all of their identities have been stripped from my mind to be used by the devil.
Where has the devil gone?
Who knows? With the information he copied, he now has the identities of all our informants as well. Probably to Regulum he has flown, or Tyrnopolis, or perhaps first to the dry blood dunes in Vath. He will easily find a way to have Imperial agents discover our operatives and promptly execute them. Who knows, he can go anywhere now. Before this he was limited only to following me because his knowledge was so scant. It is by knowledge and information that these diaboli make way, and that is how they are transferred. By various branches of knowledge, like a serpent moving about a tree, and by the seed of sin within the fruit that is forbidden.
Oh, we must pilgrimage to Vesselum and find a Selva, I said, at a loss. A Selva can perform the banishment ceremony for us, can he not?
It is too late, Epinanias. The thief got away with the gold.
But as long as we have some idea about the future, we can move to stop him, can't we, Hepta?
It is out of our hands now, Epinanias. The best that we can do is pray for the intercession of the Arizel, the holy angels, to guard those endangered. No doubt the Vecradian devil will fly to Regulum and attempt to perhaps prevent Bolgud from meeting Porphyra in the key moment, and to prevent a relationship. That would be easier than having to corrupt one that already exists.
I will go to Regulum and hire Zufagum to capture the Duplavagus. In that way, Bolgud will end up in jail to meet Porphyra. Although my good name will be tarnished, at least this manuscript of our discussions will testify to the truth of how I sacrificed for the Republic. And what is more valuable than to give up one's honor, one's good name? Does it really matter for a man like me that I might give my life? No, my honor is more important. People have died to defend their honor.
Well, there are things more valuable. As your own words testify, more valuable even than honor. The Republic, for example, and the truth itself, or should I say the truth himself, is more valuable. Nevertheless, I am impressed by your new desire to sacrifice for the Republic and for the cause of righteousness. If I survive the bloodshed that will transpire within the ranks of the mad and scared dogs because we have been compromised, I will afterwards try to convince Bolgud to restore your name. But I do not think it will work. Even a Christian emperor will hardly convince once a name has been so tarnished. You will go down in infamy. What does it matter, Epinanias? You will have saved the Republic, and you will have the consolation of knowing that. The high regard of men, after all, is nothing in the sight of God. God will see what you have done. God will hold you in high regard. After all, even the greatest of men, such as Hermias the Conqueror, are so diminished in the presence of the Most High that their accomplishments seem but a child's game. their triumphal arches and magisterial architectures but a child's building blocks in comparison to heaven's limitless ceilings. No, Epinanias, we who believe know that reputation is not the highest good to be attained. Rather, the love of God and of neighbor one should seek, as you now are learning. I must now leave this place, the Well of Souls, immediately, Epinanias, for there is little time. I must return to Regulum and endeavor to protect our organization with a counterintelligence program dispelling what truths the Vecradian devil would disseminate among the people, putting in danger our men.
So did Heptha and I depart that very day for Regulum. The events described in Heptha's History of the Future did unfold in the exact way which has been described. As I entered through the gate of the city, I was at once noticed. A great outcry arose through that grand city. A huge crowd assembled in the arena. The cheering and welcome was of such exuberance and festivity. It were as if they considered me a god. My fame had grown to a most inappropriate degree. As I soaked it all in, I knew how bittersweet was that glory given to man, whereas all glory should be given to God. Little did they realize that Bolgud, whom they considered a tyrant, was the one who cared for them the most, and who would liberate them from the oppressor, Vistan. And how I was to become the Judas, and in just a few days, those same who celebrated me, as if divine, would curse me to ignominy and exile. So in this I am blessed, to have a share in the passion of the Lord, and to know something of his path. I am now counted among the most notorious and cowardly of the citizens in the history of the Republic, as one who spent his early years extolling the virtuous deeds of the ancestors, but who himself was a man of craven mind and weak character. So now I sit here back at the Well of Souls every day and reminisce on how my life could have been, how I could have died with honor, being slain by Vistan in the Hall of Royal and Noble Inquiry, and my name would have been exalted forever. But Heptha was right. What difference does it make in the end? Things turned out the better without that. For the Republic, not for me. Yet all things come to dust before the Father of gods and men. As for the Duplavagus, she makes for a great pretend wife, one that the heroes of old would have sung about. Her meals are delicious, her housekeeping is amazing, my life is much easier. Of course, I do not share her bed, as that would not be Christian.